I'm Idiotech, and this is my review of Assassin's Creed Syndicate for PC. So before we get into the review, I just want to say I made a video regarding performance issues. I've since changed settings, updated drivers, and currently with the updated NVIDIA drivers and the settings you are seeing on your screen right now, I am able to achieve 60 FPS 95% of the time. With that said, let's get into the review. So, what's different this time around? Well, you get to play as 2 characters instead of 1, and you get a grappling hook. That's it, by the way. If you were waiting for me to tell you other things, there are no other things. That's the difference between this game and all the other Assassin's Creed games. It's the same game they've been releasing since 2009. They just keep repeating themselves over and over and over again. And look, if you enjoy this series, good for you, man. But for everyone else, there's no fucking benefit to picking this game up over any other Assassin's Creed game. And honestly, if you pick up Black Flag, at least you get ship combat. There's nothing new here, and what is new isn't even good. Evie and Jacob Frye, who are brother and sister, they're not very likable, really. I mean, they're kind of caricatures of English stereotypes, and the gameplay around them is virtually identical. Evie's supposed to be more stealthy, and Jacob's supposed to be more confrontational, but for 80% of the game, that's not the case. It only becomes the case in the very late game when you unlock the skills that are specific to Evie and Jacob, making Evie more stealthy and Jacob more combat focused. But for the majority of the game, that's not the case. So really, there's no fundamental difference between the 2 characters, and you aren't even allowed to choose one. You have to routinely be forced to play each character and progress their story individually, and I just didn't like it overall. I think it would be better to have a single character that can do everything, like the other games. But again, it feels like they're grasping at straws here. It feels like they're trying to just come up with something new each year to try and make the games different from one another, but it just doesn't make them different in this case. There is literally no gameplay difference between these 2 characters for the first 80% of the game. So I played Jacob, and the reason I played Jacob was because he had less annoying cloth physics than Evie. So the game renders cloth physics for some reason at 30 FPS, and when you're playing the game at 60 FPS, that can be quite jarring. So I switched over to Jacob. That's the reason. So instead of a gameplay reason or a story reason or a character reason, I chose to play a character because the other one was more annoying in terms of its cloth physics. So that's kind of a testament to the failure of design in this regard. As for the grappling hook, it's a grappling hook out of Batman. It's the same thing, although not as good and a bit slower, to be honest, so yay. I can get up buildings a little bit faster, and I can cross the street. It's not a huge gameplay innovation. Everything else is the same. The combat system is the same, the quest design is the same, the open world stuff is the same, fetching collectibles, etc, etc. It's all the same. It's the same game, again and again and again, every year without any evolution, and I'm sick and tired of it personally. Now, you may be into it. You may love Assassin's Creed, and if you do, there's more to love here. It's exactly the same game, it's just set in London. And that bit's great. I love the historical nature of Assassin's Creed. I really, really do. I absolutely adore it, and I wish that this game could maybe be put in better hands and given more time to evolve and become a more creative and interesting experience. Because right now, the only draw I have to an Assassin's Creed game is the representation of iconic moments in history in iconic places. And that just is not enough to make this game fun. Every time I picked up this game to play it, I'd think to myself for the first 15 to 20 minutes, oh, this isn't too bad. Why was I so, why did I dislike this so much yesterday when I'd finished playing it? And 20 minutes later, I realized why. Because it's exactly the fucking same. And it's not just that, the game holds your hand too much. If you want to use your grappling hook, it tells you where you can put it. And you can't put it where you want to. Which is just why? Why that degree of hand holding? Oh, you want to have a fight? Well, spam the X button and then press the B button and then, maybe the A button sometimes. Oh, and someone's shooting a gun at you now, so press the Y button. It's not hard, man. There's no skill involved in this game at all. I'm the kind of gamer who appreciates being rewarded for being good at something. It encourages me to get better at a game when I get rewarded for being good at it. This game is just it's literally made for the lowest common denominator. And I don't mean to offend anyone with that statement, but it's just the truth. This game is made for children and adults. It's made to appeal to the largest audience possible. And as a result, it ends up becoming a watered down and boring experience, just for the sake of getting as many dollars as possible. On the subject of dollars, we should probably talk about microtransactions. This game is absolutely packed with them. And yes, they're not essential. I have tested this thoroughly, but I'll tell you what, I certainly felt like buying them at certain points in this game. The way that you build items and weapons, etc., is by collecting materials, and you do this in various ways, but I found the most lucrative way was to find chests in the world. Now, you can buy a treasure map that will tell you where all the chests are. You go there, you pick up the treasure, and then you go to the next one, and you repeat this ad nauseum until you have enough materials to build the item that you want. I found this so boring and mind-numbing at times that I almost purchased microtransactions, and I got this game for free, and I have no intention of playing it after release, after I finish this review. So, why did I want to buy them? Because the game was designed to be grindy. It's designed to be boring so that I go, this is crap, I don't want to do this, I want to get back to the story, I want to get back to the side missions, I don't want to waste my time doing this shit, so I'm going to throw some money at them. And it's exactly what I suspected. Now yes, you can play the game without ever putting money into it, but it's long and drawn out and boring in certain instances, and that's because of the crafting system. Also, loot overall isn't fun. I want to loot a weapon that's cool for my character. I want to loot a cool piece of clothing for my character that boosts my stats. I don't want to loot crafting materials so I can go into a menu and click a button. That is not fun. That's not rewarding. It doesn't encourage me to go out into the world and explore. But the reason that system is here, where you just get materials and never get any items, is because it allows them to monetize it. And I have a serious problem with that in single player games overall. And in this case, yes, as I've said, it's not necessary, but I certainly felt the pull of those microtransactions at several points. Now, as for the story, it's not something I really like. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is I find it hard to follow. The story in Assassin's Creed never made much sense to begin with, and I really dislike the constant tie-ins to the futuristic stuff. There's this thing in the game called Abstergo, I'm sure many of you know about it, and I don't know anyone who likes that. I don't see a reason for it to exist in this franchise, and I really wish they had just made it about assassins, this guild of assassins that has existed throughout history, and you go and experience the storylines of each assassin in each location. That would have been much easier to follow. It would have allowed them to keep each story singular from each other, separate from each other, so that I could understand them if maybe I hadn't bought a game for a while. Like, unless you've been following this thing from beginning to end, you're gonna get lost at times. I certainly did. I've only played Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2, and Black Flag, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. That was frustrating as well, and the ending gets very heavy into that stuff, and I was just sort of like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And the worst thing about it is, not that I didn't understand what was going on, but just that I didn't care. I had no desire to learn anything about this game's story. It's just, I didn't find it compelling in any way. Now, that's partly just me personally. I don't find the storytelling in Assassin's Creed to be particularly engaging, and I don't like the way they bastardize history. For example, you have Charles Dickens, you have Charles Darwin, you have Alexander Graham Bell, etc., etc. There's Karl Marx. There's tons of people in this game, historical figures, and Charles Darwin is made out to be this idiot sort of lovable goof who runs around trying to sabotage industry and stuff. It's ridiculous. It's a complete bastardization of history, and I really, really wish they had taken a different direction, a more serious direction, a more serious tone. But again, maybe this game just isn't designed for me. Maybe I'm not the target audience, and clearly I'm not because I don't like the game. It astonishes me that people continue to put money into this franchise year after year after year with no innovation. I'm just amazed at the fact that Ubisoft is able to continue to produce this series and have enough money to cover its production costs. Because it's just the most uninspired, uninnovative game I have played. And the combat system, man, it's good in other games. Like, you've got to keep in mind here that loads of console games now use this combat system. We've got Mad Max, we've got Shadow of Mordor, we've got Assassin's Creed, obviously, we've got Batman. And they all use this combat system to some degree or another. But the reason Mad Max, and it's not the best game in the world, but I enjoyed it. The reason that's cool is because it focuses on car combat, which is very different and new, and I haven't seen it before. The reason Batman is cool is because it's fucking Batman, okay? And the reason that Shadow of Mordor was cool is because it had depth to it. Yeah, sure, you could just do the button spam if you wanted to, but you could also unlock new abilities that would add depth and add a combo system to the game, so that children maybe who were playing it could just spam the X button, but adults who were looking for a little bit more depth in their game could find it there. Assassin's Creed hasn't changed. The combat system is the same combat system that existed in 2009. I really am baffled at what it is about this game series that is compelling to people. Because for me, the only thing that draws me is the historical nature of the titles. That's it. The fact that I can go to France or London or the American Revolution, or I can go to the Middle East or whatever, that appeals to me, and literally nothing else about the series. So, as you can probably tell, I don't really like the game. But that doesn't mean to say that you won't like the game. If you're a fan of this series and you have no problem with any of the things I have just said, go and pick it up, because it has excellent production values, great voice acting, and, you know, it's overall a well-made game. It's just the same game that came out in 2009, and unless this series innovates, I fear in the next couple of years, I hope at least, that the general public will start to get sick and tired of this formulaic crap, which is just simply designed to make Ubisoft some money. So that's my review of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I hope you found this useful or helpful in some way. If you did, let me know in the comments below. If you want to support the channel, please like, favorite, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.